Give me 5 minutes.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How we doing? Is this on? Can you hear? Okay. Hey, before we get started, I'd just like to ask that if you have a cell phone, would you please put it on silent or on vibrate? If you have a beeper, would you please throw it away and get a cell phone? Because a little advance that right now. Hey, it's going to be a great, great night. You guys ready for some laughter? Yes. All right. They let me come on first to get the bad out of the way. Then we're going to bring comedians off. You know, I had a bad day. Thinking of this, Doug. This morning I had to run to the hardware store, so I got there early, and there was a guy backing out right in front by the door. So I was all excited. I waited my turn. I was going to get to right by the door, right? So, being a patient man, good Christian man, this guy backed out, and I'm waiting for him to clear, and another car drove into my parking spot. And so, you know, I'm a Christian. I want to be a good example, right? So I know what I have to do. I've got to key his car. And, but I'm going to use the keys of the kingdom because I'm a Christian. But the funny part of that day is going to the store. Bob Smiley and I just laughed, and I'm glad I'm talking first so he can't take this. But please forgive me if this is not appropriate, but it is funny. We saw a one-armed guy going into a second-hand store. Well, he was missing his left arm, so he was all right. Yeah. He had a weapon, but he'd been disarmed, so he was... Here's the funny part. True story. This is the funny part. When he left... God just gives you this. When he left, he rode off on a unicycle. Right? Isn't that great? Were you guys ready to get the show started? Hey, he's like, please leave. Get the show started. Right. Hey, I'm Pastor Clay. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. This is kicking off Lighthouse Fellowship's 19th anniversary. Thank you. And we give God all the glory. And I just want to say to the people that really discouraged me when we started. I had a lot of people that said, you won't make it a year. To those people, I just want to say, na-na-na-na, boo-boo. We're 19 years going strong, and God has been really blessing us. Amen, right? Well, a few years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Mike James. He's going to come up here in just a moment, and he's got this great ministry called Cross-Eyed Comedy. And after the first service that he visited here, he said, Pastor, I'd like to talk to you. And I thought, oh, what did I say? You know, because that's usually... Pastor, when someone comes up to a pastor and says, now, Pastor, hear my heart. Right. You're going to get chewed out. Right? You're going to get chewed out something. Oh, what did I say? So he goes, I want to buy you lunch. And I thought, man, what did I say? What did I do? And we had a nice lunch, and he said, I'm a comedian, and I think you should try that. I said, well, I don't know. And he goes, I'm going to sign you up for a show. 10 minutes. And I thought, 10 minutes? I can't preach for under 45 minutes, so that'd be easy, right? 10 minutes of comedy is like 10 hours of preaching. So I was done in my 45-minute set in about 3 minutes. But he said, keep doing it. And he introduced me to this fun little hobby, and I'm so appreciative. And I'm not going to say any more about it, but I'm going to invite Mr. Mike James from Cross-Eyed Comedy to come up here, share with you guys a little bit. Now, before he comes up, you guys, I'm not paying these guys. So you need to applaud. I was telling Bob Smiley, Bob, I'm just a poor preacher. And he said, I've heard you, I know. So they're your applause. They have some merchandise in the back. Please make sure you bless them tonight. And please welcome my friend, my buddy, the guy who started it all for me, Mr. Mike James.
Thank you, sir. I was one of the guys that said I didn't think it would work. I apologize for that. So yeah, this is my church, so I'm glad we see so many faces that I don't recognize. A lot of whom probably go to this church also. I just don't pay attention. But yeah, this is great. It's been a rough couple years for all of us. I know that for a lot of different reasons. The lockdowns and the mandates and all this stuff and not everybody's sure what to do, and there's so much different information and all of that. And I remember last year when all this started, I kind of went nuts right away. I started buying weird stuff online. I bought a bidet. I bought a bidet. So now I'm a guy with a bidet. So that's not what I thought my life was going to be, but that's where we're at. And I'll tell you this, we have excellent water pressure at our house. I installed it, and it has a little dial to turn it on, and I thought it was a switch. So I just turned it on. You're supposed to ease into it. It's supposed to be a little bit every day, I think. I don't know, but it was a little shocking. I'll be honest with you. I turned that thing on the first day, and I thought, I'm going to have to start voting differently, I think. I don't know what's going on, but whatever. Of course, my wife goes here with me. My beautiful wife, we've been married 35 years. Thank you. It sounds good, doesn't it? It is. It's great. I love my wife very much. I'll be honest though, when they said till death do you part, I thought, all right, that's cool. I didn't think I'd live this long. It's a lot longer than I thought. We were supposed to have nuclear war by now, right? This never happened. And then the pandemic came. No, we survived that too. So here we are. We're like the cockroaches of married people, I think. We're just going to go forever now. Which is great. Speaking of all the political stuff, I was talking to my niece, and she's very liberal. I'm not liberal like she is. She's very liberal, and she's always. And we start talking about the discussion of genders and what means what and all this stuff, and I thought, man, I can't believe she doesn't get it, and but anyway, then later on she tells me she's going back to school again, and she's going to really study women's studies, and then I said, based on our conversation, what's a woman? And then her head exploded. So that was nice. We have 3 kids, my wife and I, and they're in their 30s now. So we're hoping they move out soon. That'll be great. No, they're gone. We have 7 grandkids now. Actually, one of my grandkids is here. Connor's here with us tonight. And so that's a treat, because after this we get to go to Culver's, and then we're going to go home and play video games for 7 hours. That'll be great. So anyway, we have 7 grandkids, and people always say how great grandkids are, and they are. They're fantastic. If you don't have grandkids, you should get some. they're great. And I just think it's so fun to have your grandkids around. But there's so much about them that can teach you things. Like my granddaughter. When your kids are 4 or 5 and they start, and you'll tell them something, and they say why, and then you answer it, and it's why, and that just goes for forever. With my kids, I didn't have patience. I would just shut them down. 2 or 3 whys into the conversation, that's enough. But with my grandkids, I just keep answering it, and it's very enlightening. I recommend doing this. For example, my granddaughter came up to me, and she said, "What are you doing, Grandpa?" And I said, "I'm just looking through this drawer, sweetheart." "Why?" "I'm looking for my keys." "Why?" "Well, I need my keys." "Why?" "I need to start the car." "Why?" "I need to drive the car." "Why?" "I need to go to the hardware store." "Why?" "I need to get a rake." "Why?" "I need to rake the lawn." "Why?" "Because Grandma won't let it go." "Oh." Yeah. And then she didn't ask why after that. She knows Grandma, right? It was like a bonding moment for us. It was nice. there you go. I one of the weird things about being married for a long time is you learn to you just adapt to each other, right? We don't ask weird questions of each other, dumb, strange, weird things, right? And but one thing we've been doing is talking about more morbid things, like who's going to die first, right? And I hope I do. I do. I can't live without my wife. I know that. There's no way. I would depend on her for everything. Like, if it weren't for my wife, there's no way I would know I loaded the dishwasher wrong, right? I mean, there's no way to know that. So, I need her for that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have known we needed 47 pillows on the bed. It was news to me. Anyway, so then, you know, and I think, what if something does happen to her? You know, and it gives me anxiety because I love her. I don't want anything bad to happen to my wife. And I think about it, like, what if something does? And, you know, that'd be awful. And then I have to find somebody else right away. I would. I can't take care of myself. I know that. I need somebody there, somebody responsible at the house. And then it gives me more anxiety because I don't know how to date or anything. I don't know how to find a woman. I never really did that. We got married so young, you know. Don't get me wrong, there's benefits to getting married young. Like, I never had to waste all that time, you know, trying to figure out my interests. That was nice. But you know, I don't know how the whole system works. You know, you have to have like a pickup line or whatever. I don't have that. My pickup line would be like, "You look like a woman that wouldn't blame me for everything." You know, like, how does that work? And I don't know. I just don't know how the whole system works, right? And then there's online dating. That sounds bizarre, right? I was asking somebody about that, and I've been online. Obviously, I get on the internet, but I'm usually like on Amazon, so I'm like shopping for stuff. And so I thought, well, maybe it's like that. And well, this person I was talking to, she said, well, yeah, it is kind of like that, but it's not products. You're looking for people. And I just thought, that seems so weird to me, right? You're just looking for people, and you know, and then it's like Amazon. You're like, oh, you pick Sarah. Other people that pick Sarah also pick Lisa and Ann. You know, they suggest that. I don't know how that works. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I just don't know how it works, so it gives me anxiety because I don't want anything to happen like that. So anyway, so yeah, we've been happily married forever, and it's great. And again, like I said, we go to this church, and if you don't go to this church, you should. So just abandon whatever church you're going to right now. Pastor Clay is great, and he's long-winded, but he's great. He will. When we first moved here into this area, we've lived in the valley here for about 25 years. But when we first moved out here, we were looking for a church, and we came here. And the very first service, and we'd been to several churches. The very first service was right away, and that's when I actually called you, and I said I have talked to you, and it just immediately I thought that's home, and this has been, I don't know, 10 years or 12 years or something. So anyway, just telling you that so that you start coming here. That was the whole reason I said all that. Anyway, that's it for me, you guys. Thanks for coming out, and enjoy the show. You're going to love everybody on the show.
Mike James, all right. Mike and I have this little competition. I've always got to one-up him. Kelly and I have been married 40 years. She's a lot younger than me. She's a grave robber. Okay, take that off the CD, would you? I brought my wife flowers today. We had a funeral, so that one didn't go over at all. For those of you who don't know, I'm a mortician and a preacher. I can marry you or bury you, cremate, christen, you know. Casket, crucifix, I'm your guy. Anyway, this next guy coming up is I'm so honored to call him my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Kahatsu.
Hello, Lighthouse. How are we? We're doing well. Looks like you're doing well. Okay. I know some of you probably seen me before, so get ready for the same old thing. No, I got some new stuff. So my name is Brian. I am half Japanese, half Caucasian, so I do appreciate you guys practicing your Spanish on me in the parking lot. That's always fun. No means no in both languages, just to be really clear on that. So I get mistaken as Mexican all the time living here in Arizona. I got pulled over by a cop the other day. He was like, Kahatsu. Yeah, that's Asian. I'm supposed to believe you're Asian? Yes, sir. Well, can you prove it? Oppa Gangnam Style. Oh, no? Okay. Still got the ticket. He's like, I was just messing with you. I saw you driving. Anyway, don't laugh at that. Anyway, so, I was born and raised in Arizona. Where are my Arizona natives at? Woo, there we go. Sweet. All right. So, remember some of you guys from the meetings? Sweet. That's where we talk about everybody else. Okay. All right. That's good. I was born and raised in Glendale. I did what every Arizona kid does who lives in Glendale. I recently moved closer to Sun City because that is a progression of death if you live in Arizona. So now I live out towards Sun City. I am married with kids, and so living out there by retirees, they don't like that. They'll tell you. I had an old guy get in my face the other day. He's like, we don't like young families moving in here. I said, dude, settle down. We're just here to euthanize the neighborhood. So, I'm not good with words, but we're really good friends. That's all that matters. As a comic, I get to travel around the country, and that's great. And it's funny because I had people all the time come up to me and say, ooh, Arizona, you're from Arizona? I love Arizona. My grandmother lives in Arizona. Yeah, I know. All your grandmothers live in Arizona. And they follow it up with like, oh, no, you don't understand. Ever since she's moved there, she's got good color. She's lost weight. And I'm like, yeah, she's sunburned. She's dehydrated. You might want to check up on her is what I'm saying. So it's crazy. But I do lived here my entire life. My wife and I met my wife here. We both grew up here. My wife is, we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary in June. So 30 years. 30 years during a pandemic. My wife was like, ooh, hey, take me somewhere nice. You know, it's been 30 years. Let's like spend some money. Let's go on a trip. I'm like, it's in the middle of a pandemic. I'm a comic. I don't have any money. Ooh, I got it. How about Mesa? Didn't fly. Anyways. A lot of jewelry later, we're good. Okay, all right, that's how that works. Yeah, my wife and I met when we were actually we were 7 years old when we met. Went to grade school, high school, college together, even had some jobs together. My friends who are like usually in their 20s and their 30s will say to me like, Brian, you and your wife are like, you're soulmates. Can you help me find that someone special in my life? I'm like, I don't know, I met my wife in 3rd grade. I have no idea what to tell you at this point. Don't stay away from school is what I'm saying. Just don't do that. But my wife, she played college basketball at Grand Canyon University. Woo, go Lopes. And then she, right after graduating, she decided to become a professional golfer, having never golfed in her entire life. So I laughed too, and that's the wrong response. Within a year, she got good enough to turn pro. So you guys kind of know what I live with. I live with a woman who's like, I can do anything I put my mind to, and I can get there. And I'm a guy who just wants to tell you some fart jokes. So that's balance, right? That's balance as I see it. She's great. She works at a local course now. My friends love that because my friends want 2 things from my wife, right? They want free lessons and they want to golf for free. But my friends are intimidated by my wife because she can do all things, so they say dumb things to her. They walk up to her and say, hey, you still golfing? She hates that, right? Because she wants to be spoken to like a human being, you know? I don't see my friends' wives walk up to him and say, hey, you still, school teacher? Yeah? Good. It's cool. We need school teachers. So, we have 2 kids. My son's name is Kai. Kai is 18 years old. He's in college now. He just graduated last May, and it was tough for him during the pandemic and all that, but we made it through. Everything's good. Now, when he was 16 years old, he wanted to learn how to drive. My wife was like, this would be great father-son bonding, if you took him out, taught him how to drive. And I said, yeah, that's a good idea. So my wife, being the helpful person that she is, she made a magnetic sign. And on it, it said, student driver. She put it on the back of my truck, and away my son went, to teach him how to drive. So I will tell you, during that time period, there were times where I forgot to take the magnetic sign off my truck. So I know this because I was driving one day and this guy on a motorcycle just blew past me. He's like, "Looking good, student driver." And I'm super embarrassed at this point, you know. So I'm driving like with my head down. I like go over to the side because like I'm so embarrassed. But there's nobody to the side of me, and everybody else is, they're keeping their distance from me. And I thought, well, this is pretty cool. But I thought, ooh, I can make this better. So I made a magnetic sign that says Asian student driver, and it is awesome. Believe me, it's awesome. It's like a parade for one. It's really amazing. Selling those after the show. I'm kidding. My son's great. My daughter, she's 16. She just got her driver's license. She told me, she's like, "Dad, you could tell the same joke, but you could say you made one for me that says Asian female student driver." And I said, "I don't think we're allowed to tell those jokes. So go to your room." So she's just looking for writing credit. That's how she is. No, my daughter, typical 16-year-old, she's got her phone, she's got all these apps on it, and she's always like, "Dad, do you want to try this new app?" So the other day, she's like, "I got a new one." I said, "What is it?" She says, "Okay, I'm going to tell you how old you are based on your hearing." And I said, "I know how old I am." And she goes, "Come on." And I'm like, "All right, fine." She goes, "Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to push this button, and when I push this button, it's going to let off a high-pitched noise. When you hear the high-pitched noise, you tell me you heard the high-pitched noise, and I'll tell you how old you are." I'm like, "All right, fine." She goes, "Ready? Go." "Dad, Dad." I'm like, "What?" "Oh, right there." She's like, "Oh my, Dad, according to this, you're 78 years old." And I'm like, that's funny. That's funny. It is. So I grabbed a piece of paper. I'm like, "Here, check that out." She's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "That's cursive." Gen X 1, Gen Z 0. So we're going to keep her. She's a good kid. Yeah. Yeah, they're great. We've got a pet. You have pets? You have dogs? Dog lovers in the room? Sweet. Okay. We have a yellow lab. He recently turned 16. He's not driving, but he's good. That's a big old dog, though. A yellow lab is a big 16-year-old dog. His name is Turbo, which is a great name for a puppy. It's a horrible name for a 16-year-old dog. Now when you call him, it's just like you're mocking him. Like, "Come on, Turbo. Come on, boy." Don't feel bad. He's in great shape, or he wouldn't have made it, obviously, to 16. He's a great dog. We had him professionally trained. This guy gave him voice commands, hand commands, so no matter where he was, he would always come back. Flash forward now 16 years. He doesn't hear very well, so the hand commands kind of work like voice commands, you know. But it's sign language, basically, is what it is. And I can still communicate with him. That's great. The other day, I yelled out to him just out of habit. I was like, "Turbo!" And I got this response. Right? Now he can't see. Now I have a blind, deaf dog. I have the Helen Keller of dogs. The only way I can communicate with him now is to take his paw and put it up to my lips. Sick. Sick. Thank you, those of you that got that. Thank you. Good. Good. Sometimes people don't get that, but that's fine. Usually they're millennials, and they will come up to me after a show and go, "So you're talking about your dog?" "Yeah. So I'm supposed to believe your dog can write?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, no, wait, no, I got it. No. I said Helen Keller. You're thinking Anne Frank. But I like where you're going with this. My dog was hiding from the German Shepherds. I must tell my story." So, I lost some of you on that one. Okay, that's fine. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. That's cool. My dog retired at 13. Turbo retired. Dogs won't tell you. They just do it. This is how one day he was just sitting there. Ding dong. What is happening? And I had to come out and step over and answer the door. I realized 13 years old, he's tired, right? He's doing the things I need him to do, which is he's resting. He's resting so he can get up, eat his food, and go outside to go to the bathroom. That's his retirement, right? That's what I want my retirement to look like. I mean, that's it. So I get it. But 13 years invested in the family, if somebody rings the doorbell and it's a stranger, he's not going to let anything bad happen to us, right? So there's a stranger at the door, you get this. Somehow we feel safe. Glad you guys are out laughing again. It's so good to be with you guys, and thank you guys. Happy anniversary, 19th anniversary. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the one thing I miss. You guys miss concerts? I miss concerts. Concerts, sure, thank you. Concerts. Here's the deal with concerts. I haven't been to a good concert in a while. And the last one I went to was not great. I had a friend call me and says, "I have tickets. Do you want to go?" I said, "Sure." He goes, gives me the address. Meet me at the theater at 7 o'clock. I said, "Great." So I'm getting ready to go, and I get in with my car, and I'm driving, and I realize I never asked who was performing, right? Which is pretty important if you go to a concert. So as I pull up, I see on the marquee it says Wham Reunion. Okay. All right, some of you are laughing. Help me out. If you don't know who Wham is, Wham was two guys, right? Yep. George Michael had a pretty decent career, and then he passed away. And then there's the other guy, Andrew Ridgeley. Very good. Just so you know, that's good. No, participation's included. So, just so you know, if you go to a Wham reunion concert, obviously it's only Andrew Ridgeley, and he only does the parts of the song that he used to do. So, "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" is like jitterbug. Jitterbug. Boom, boom. Bang, bang, bang. Jitterbug. Yeah, yeah, my beats per minute. Wake me up. 2 hours. 2 hours. The only thing worse than that was the guy who opened for him. Oates. By request, I'm going to do this next piece. This next piece, I call no. So, Clay, thank you for asking me to come. And he's wearing the shirt. Anyway, walking billboard. Anyway, as you can probably tell, I come from an extremely traditional Japanese family. And okay, I heard smirking. Okay, whatever. So my dad was a Japanese farmer here in Arizona. And let me back up. He was Japanese and a farmer. He didn't grow Japanese people. It's ridiculous. Anyway, my dad. So here's the deal with my dad. My father was a very wise man. My friends would go to my dad for advice. They wouldn't even go to their own parents. They would go to my dad. And their dads would go to my dad for advice. So my dad was the wise man, the wise farmer. God gives farmers something, I think, a little special. They know a lot. So a lot of people would go to my dad for advice. And I had him in my life. He passed away 18 years ago. And I miss my dad dearly because I'd always go to him for advice. Now, the only person I have like that now in my life is my aunt. My aunt is still alive, 100 years old. She turned in May, California. Yep. She's going strong. I can call her up. I don't call her as much as I used to because she's getting up there in age. So I don't call her for, I used to have long conversations with her. Like the last time I remember a long conversation was a few years back. It was McCain, Obama. It was after one of the debates, and I called her up on the phone. I said, "How you doing?" She goes, "Oh, I do very good, Brian." I said, "So, did you watch the debate?" She says, "Hi, yes, I watched the debate." I said, "So, who do you think's going to win? You think it's going to be Barack?" She says, "Brian, it doesn't matter if you're Barack or white. So I hung up on her. I don't know where she was going with it. So, but she's doing great. But I only bring that up because here's the deal. I miss my father dearly, and the reason I miss my dad, and you guys can probably relate to this, that when I was a kid going to sleep, and you guys probably when you would go to bed, your parents would come in and tell you a story before we go to bed. No different in my family. The only difference in my family is that when I was a little boy, all tucked into bed, my little 5-foot Japanese father would come in. Lay down! I tell you a story! The ancient scroll tale of the three pigs. Pig number one, he work in hayfield. Oh, la, 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 la. Suddenly, big bad dragon come. Hey, psh, ow. Pig number two, he see what happened. He say, this not happen to me. So, from 1,000-year-old oak tree, he make nunchuck. He wait for dragon. Dragon come. Pig number 3. He see what happened. He say this not happen to me. So, in brick oven. Quiet. In brick oven. Brick oven, he make samurai sword. You mess me up. Sword ready. He wait for dragon. Dragon come. Sweet dreams. Thank you guys so much. Real quick, this is all new to me. I don't normally sell merch, but I do have merch. T-shirt there you go. I don't have to do this. That shirt's available if you want. This is brand new. I have a new CD that just came out. This is all sketch comedy. It's me doing a bunch of voices and a bunch of other new stuff. So if you want to pick this up, I just got these in today. So that's it for me. Thank you guys so much. That's my time. Play. Thank you guys. Happy anniversary.
Brian Castro, ladies and gentlemen. Aren't these guys great? All right. Hey, you ready for the main event? Ladies and gentlemen, we got the real Bob Smiley's coming here tonight. Now, before I bring Bob up on the stage, I just want to remind you again, we are celebrating our anniversary. And a few years ago, I had the privilege, maybe 4 years ago, I had the privilege of meeting Bob at one of the Christian comedian conferences in Nashville. And it was really awesome. He thought I was Larry Bird. It was awkward, but we got to know each other, and we were talking a little while ago, and said, what's happening here, what we're doing here, and he said, I'd love to come out and meet your people and be part of this night. And so, friends, would you please make Bob feel really, really welcome, really, really special, and give it up for Mr. Bob Smiley.
What is up? Oh, man. Thank you guys for coming out. Mike, Brian, great job. Clay, nice try. No, I love Clay. Like we met a long time ago, but we did have lunch today, and it's not the way to start a show, but I love you, man. Yeah, I do. I don't even think of him as a friend. I think of him more like a great grandfather. So this is on, right? You guys can hear me okay? So what? Give me a chance. I'm gonna get better. Wow. Don't worry, it's just the stage you're going through. So that's terrible. That's not even what I was very excited. Clay asked me to come and be a part of the 19th celebration. 19. He started this church when he was 60. That is amazing. And I was so excited because, at the time I didn't know what pro bono meant, so I'm here. And and before I start my show, thank you for coming out, because let's be honest, comedy is a really difficult thing nowadays because everybody's like offended and all that. So thanks for just trusting us, because thank you. Seriously, that means a lot. Brian's not going to offend anybody. Mike's not going to offend. I'm not. So let's start. How many have had the vaccine and voted for Trump? Don't raise your hand. That was a joke. She was like, I did twice. Which evidently is legal nowadays. So, but it was a crazy time. It was a crazy, 2020 was so bad. It was like, now, I can't think of anything worse. Like, now it's still bad. This is how bad our year was. I love your church, but it needs a weed eater. What is that? So distracting. No, it was a tough year, 2020. This is how bad our year was. Do you guys remember when murder hornets showed up for an hour and a half? That's how crazy our life was at the time. Murder hornets showed up and were like, ah! Oh, you got a lot going on. We'll come back. And it was all my shows canceled. In March, in a day and a half, I had 73 shows. The rest of the shows for the year canceled. Yeah, I know, it's sad, but God took care of us, you know. I got to know my neighbors. There were so many positives, you know. I didn't know my neighbors. The only thing my neighbor had ever said to me was, why are you in our pool? And you know what he said to me 2 weeks ago? Why are you in our pool, Bob? He knew my name. There was so many good. Oh, and I don't think you said where I'm from. I live in northern Mexico, a place called Houston, Texas. And yeah, everybody wants to know about Hurricane Harvey. Harvey hit us bad. But again, talking about opportunities for Christians to do stuff, like we got to help the community. I took, you know, it's like 2 weeks of taking stuff out of houses, or what cops call looting. And it was, but yeah, so I was home all the time. I was, you know, I didn't know how I was going to take care of my family. My wife and I, we have 5 tax deductions, all boys. And yeah, I know, we have 5 kids. We're stupid. I love my kids. I do. They're a lot. They're like, I love Coulter and, you know, the other ones. And but then I had to support my family all year, and all I've done is stand up. I should have looked for a job. I got really involved in this video game called Uber Eats driving, and yeah. What's funny is you laughing, but that seriously is how I took care of my family. For a whole year, I Uber Eats drove. And it really was kind of like a video game, because it pops up on your phone, you go and get the food, you get on the freeway, you're driving, it's like Grand Theft Auto. I actually got here early and did it in Buckeye. It was more like Red Dead Redemption. And yeah, Buckeye, Arizona. Yes! My career's on fire. And no, you were my people. You were my people. I grew up in a very, very small town in Texas. I grew up in a town with 281 people in it. That was it. It was bad. Yeah. My dad's joke was our idea of a large industrial company was a 200-pound Avon lady. That was his joke. Yeah. I would never tell that, but that was his joke, and and I loved growing up in the country. We had a little school, and we had a little, I guess it was a store. It was called a drive-through tobacco barn. I don't even know what happened there. I guess rednecks just pulled up, and we're like, yeah, fill her up, please. Yeah. So I did, and so, yeah, but now I actually don't live in Houston. I live in a town called the Woodlands. Does anybody know of the Woodlands? Here? Oh, a couple of you? Okay, then I have to say this. I am not rich. Yeah, you know, don't you? It is too rich. It is. If there's a fire, the firemen only use bottled water. I'm not making it up. I don't know how we got a house there. Either God just blessed us with a house, or the elderly person I bought it from thought I was her grandson. Yeah. It had to be God, because all I said was, I really want this house, Nana. So we do, but it was crazy, man. And we've seen some crazy stuff in the last year and a half. I know we've all seen somebody driving by themselves in a car with a mask on. Yeah, you guys, I'm like, yeah. And if you're not nodding or laughing, you've done it. Yeah. I just can't believe people that do that. I was in D.C. three weeks ago. D.C., that's where all our the leaders of our country are. Guy pulled up next to me in a car. I'm looking at him. 2 masks. 2 masks. Yeah. You got the the regular cloth, and then the other one. I'm just looking at him like, how did he get elected president? Really? Okay. I'm Bob Smiley, and I approve this message. I'm really not political. I didn't know how you guys were going to feel about that. But I'm not. I don't care how you vote. I don't. I know, I know in a room this big, there's passionate people, but I don't care. You know, if you're Republican, fine. Democrat, hate the sin, not the sinner. And but what are you doing? What? Now I can't remember what I was going to talk about. You just wanted to get a jacket? Okay, so you guys. Oh, my favorite thing that happened during the quarantine was it was in March. I don't know when you guys shut down, but we shut down in March in Texas, and my wife and I, we knew we were going to be home, for a long time. But I said to my wife, I was like, man, we're going to find out about people's marriages pretty quick, okay? Because, I was like, can you imagine being stuck at home with somebody that, like, annoys you all the time? And she was like, yeah, it's not great. And I was like, yeah, what? So we wanted to get, and so we went to Walmart. We didn't even really need anything. We just like to go there to look around, to feel better about ourselves. And, come on, Buckeye. I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. I landed today in Phoenix. They lost my bags, and the only reason why I really wanted is I had my toothbrush in there. I was able to get one in Phoenix because, man, they have an amazing Goodwill. And, what? It was a good one. It was a soft bristle. And, but I did. I went to the Walmart in Phoenix. Phoenix is pretty. I was just walking around looking, and I was like, oh, man. I'm good. I was like, my Crocs match. So my wife and I, we pulled up to Walmart, and Mike kind of talked about this. Like, we need good, strong women in our lives, and my wife is the same way. And I don't know, it's so difficult to do stand-up and not, like, talk about your whole life and stuff, but I kind of have to bring you up to speed. We're a blended family. I'm just going to throw that out because that's going to come into play later. I was married before. I'll, talk about her later if I have time. I mean, if you want to hear about Satan, she is alive and real. And that's terrible. That's terrible. She's happy. She married this. We had 3 kids. We'd been married for almost 18 years. She met this guy who had way bigger bank accounts, and it's fine. She's married, she's rich, she's happy. My kids are, they're dealing with it, and but I was a single dad for a while, and it was so weird too because my kids wanted me to date right away, and I was like, no, like you got to heal from that. That's like, and I was faithful. Like I'm faithful in any relationship. When I hang out with my pastor, I don't look at other pastors. I don't. Not like, oh, wonder what his sermon's like. I bet he ends on time. So, I saw you get up on the counter. I was like, target detected. No, but yeah, so she did. She left. I was a single dad. And it was weird because all my friends were like, just go date. And I was like, no, you got to heal from that. And one of my friends signed me up on a dating site called Plenty of Fish. Yeah. What? Are you guys on it? You're on it, aren't you? I know, but you look really familiar. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping you aren't together and you just grab this stranger's arm. But you guys started nodding. Do you know about Plenty of Fish? Like, well, any of you guys, because all of you nodded.
We've heard of it, of course.
You've heard of it, okay, all right. Because I'd never heard of it, and my friends signed me up, and they were like, and I thought it was a Christian site. It's not a Christian site. There are plenty of fish, but they are all bottom feeders. Oh my goodness, and it was lies and fake photos. I thought that was only on TV, that people put fake photos on dating sites. That's real. That is a real life. You show up, you think you're going to meet Anne Hathaway, you show up and they look like Anne passed away. And So I was like, I'm not going to date. I'm just going to concentrate on raising my 3 boys. I had three kids at the time, and see what God had for me, and just try to get through it, man. And then God brought this amazing woman in my life. This was like 7 years ago. We've been married for almost 3. So way to rub it in, Brian and Mike, like 35 years, because we're better than him. But no, so it has a good ending. If you're going through a tough time, man, God's going to walk with you. And my wife's amazing. And we did meet online. That was what was weird. We met on MySpace. It was awesome. We were the only 2 left. She's a little younger than me, so I was super nervous for that first date, but her favorite band was playing in Houston, the Wiggles, and I wanted that date to go on forever, but it was a school night. And she has 2 boys. That's why we have 5 boys now. She went kind of through the same thing that I did, and she's such a strong Christian. She's so amazing. Actually, this is not funny, but this is a glimpse into her heart. Because it is kind of amazing to go through something really traumatic like that, and then now look back on it and be like, oh, God had us. But first time I talked to her on the phone, I can't believe I said this, but I was like, how many kids do you have? And she goes, I have 2. And I don't know why I did it, but I go, oh. She goes, what do you mean, oh? Yeah. And she goes, what is it? And I was like, I don't know. I shouldn't have said that, but I don't know if I want more kids, which is terrible. This is a glimpse into her heart. She goes, you know what? No matter what happens between you and me, I hope you get into your mind that 2 more kids is 2 more opportunities to love and to be loved. And it's 2 more opportunities to allow children to see what a heavenly Father's love looks like through an earthly father. Isn't that beautiful? And then she was like, you can applaud that. That's a beautiful sentiment. It really is. I was just, oh man, it was just silent on the phone. And then she was like, how many do you have? And I said 3, and we got disconnected. And but she's amazing. She's amazing. So we have 2 kids. And yeah, love your wives, man. Never stop dating your wives. Like that is, again, I'm not trying to get on a soapbox. I don't know I'm trying to get all truthful, but man, we've got to start treating women the way they were created. They're the daughter of the king. They deserve respect. They deserve to be loved. They do. I don't know why. I just get them flowers every once in a while. Open a car door. I don't know why guys don't open car doors, especially after a big meal. You open the car door, they get in, you shut it. You got time to fart as you go around the car. This dude just said, you blew my cover. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I'm a romantic. And so back to the Walmart story. My wife and I, we pull up to the store, and like Mike was saying, man, my wife's taught me a lot about myself too. I promise I'll get to jokes. I don't want to get it, but she's taught me stuff that I didn't know about me for years. For years I thought I preferred to sleep in a dark, quiet room. I had no idea. Deep down, I really wanted a huge fan made by Boeing right over our bed. I don't know how I slept before without a white noise machine right there. I didn't know that I needed 8 different kinds of shampoo in my shower. I did not know that. Didn't know. I'd used one shampoo all my life. One brand, Holiday Inn. It was great. And I used the same pair of scissors to cut everything like a crazy man. Yeah, now I've got a utility scissor belt. She has taught me everything. So we pull up to Walmart, and I had a really bad cough. It was not COVID. I actually went to the doctor, found out it was not. It's something weird. I'd never had it before. Corona. Yeah. It's like, what? I don't drink. Well, I'm a Christian, so not publicly. So, there's my Catholic row right there. So, anyway. So I had a really bad cough. And I don't know if you realize this, but coughing in public is over now. That's over. We can't do it. You cough in public, they're going to look at you like you're the Walking Dead. So we're about to get out of the car. She was like, do not cough. So we go in, and even though we were kind of killing time, my wife always has a list, and so we split the list up. I was supposed to be getting batteries, but I like to go to the clock aisle and set the alarms to go off at the same time. Don't judge me. We don't have Netflix. This is like... So I'm setting the alarms, and so are you girls leaving? Don't leave. Don't. That was my entire high school career right there. You got a glimpse of that. Just girls just walking away, ignoring me. I almost said bye, I love you. Because here's the deal. I grew up in a loving Christian home, and that was one of the things, and I think it's a good thing, but my parents taught me always say, I love you, no matter what, because we don't know how long we have. And so my parents actually taught us if somebody got up to go into another room or something, just say, bye, I love you, or something. That's why I don't like to talk on the phone. Have you guys ever been talking to somebody you barely know and out of habit? Bye, I love you. Okay, some of you have done that. I said that to my mechanic. I said it to an Army recruiter one time. That was super awkward. I was like, I gotta go. Bye, I love you. He was like, what? Don't ask, don't tell. So sometimes you get really funny responses, though, and it's kind of worth it. I was talking to this guy who wanted me to do a show, and he just sounded really cool, interesting. And I was like, yeah, man, let's put a show together. And I was kind of nervous. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll check my calendar. All right, bye, I love you. And I was like, oh. And without missing a beat, he was like, oh. Well, ta-ta, sugar booger. And I was like, what? Then I was like, I don't even know if I want to meet this weirdo now. But Pastor Clay turned out to be awesome. So... What was I talking about? Was I talking about Walmart? I was in Walmart. And so I was setting the alarm on the clocks and stuff, and I got recognized by 37 people because I'm hugely famous. And was it you? Are you laughing? I am famous, and the worst part is I'm always having to tell everyone. Even my kids, though, try to act like, I guess to keep me humble or whatever. But my oldest, one time I was noticed by 8 different people in one day, and my oldest son was like, yeah, we're at a family reunion. And but I really did. It's a true story. Laugh if you want. I got noticed by 37 people. I will help your cause out a little bit. That sounds like a lot of people, but it turns out it was just one homeschool family. And... And so they wanted me to sign autographs. And also, here's a true part of the story that I'm not proud of saying, but about halfway through signing the autographs, all the kids were asked to tell me their favorite bits. And I realized about halfway through that they didn't think I was me, Bob Smiley. They thought I was my best friend, who also is a comedian. We get confused a lot. It's a guy named Tim Hawkins. I don't know if you guys know him. Do you guys know him? Yeah, okay. If you don't know him, look him up. I promise you, he is the second best Christian comedian out there. How many know him? Do enough know that I can tell this? Okay, then really quick story. In 2019, I saw him in the Houston airport. I was flying out. It was like 5 in the morning. He was getting off a plane, so he was tired. He had his head down. He's wearing yoga pants. And and I did what you do when you see your best friend. I was like, I'm going to scare him. So I snuck up behind him, and this is like 5 in the morning in the Houston airport, and I got right behind him, and before I jumped in front of him, I remembered that he has a comedy bit. He wishes Snickers were bigger. He wishes they made a Snickaloaf. And that's about the response he gets when he tells it. So I don't know why that jumped in my brain, but I jumped in front of him early in the morning in the airport, and this is what I shouted at his face. I went, "Want to buy a Snickaloaf?" And that is when I realized it wasn't him. Yeah, it wasn't him. Yeah, it was not him. Yeah, you're totally right. It was... I jumped in front of a complete stranger in an airport. And what do I shout at the stranger's face? Want to buy a Snicker loaf? And what I should have said was, I'm so sorry, I thought you were somebody else. But what my crazy brain kicked out was, want to buy a Snicker loaf? Well, I already ate it, and then I just walked away. I feel so bad for that dude, because you know he went home and tried to tell the story. And I got off this plane, and this gigantic Girl Scout jumped in front of me. And so they thought I was Tim Hawkins. I'm signing autographs, and then it happened. I don't know if you guys have been in this situation. I had to cough. Could not help it. Signing, and all of a sudden I just turn my head. I just go like that. But it was kind of echoey in Walmart, and my wife was one aisle over, and she heard and recognized my cough. And she very lovingly just said, "Stop coughing!" And it echoed everywhere. And everybody just stopped. And even though we've been through some dark times, I do think, you prayed this when we were praying over there, that laughter is good like a medicine. Amen. Bible talks about that. It was weird hearing you quote the Bible, but guess who's not going to be invited back? But no, you pray that, and it's true. Like God wants us, even in dark times, to find joy, find laughter, Amen. Because He's in charge, and nothing is shocking Him. All this stuff is happening. It's not taking Him by surprise. He knew it. He knew it. And if we really truly have faith in Him, then it kind of sets us free. We can still, it can still affect us. I'm not saying, hey, let's just be joyful all the time. But I think God wants us to have a little bit of confidence. Right. That God, and that there is laughter. I read an article one time, laughter's 10 times more powerful than morphine. That was a medical journal, not a Christian thing. 10 times more powerful than morphine. And laughter's free. I was trying to make a point. You guys are looking at me like, we like morphine. I'm not saying, man, I'm not against morphine, okay? I'm just saying laughter is a gift. We need morphine. If I break my leg in half, I don't want a doctor standing over me going, knock, knock, But we do. And so everybody in Walmart just stopped. And they just, everybody started looking at her, and I realized nobody knew that she was my wife. So I pulled the card around, and I go, "Oh, I am so sorry, ma'am. If I offended you, I will leave and find some other way to feed my family." Now everybody's looking at her like she's a big jerk. And she goes, "What? Don't ma'am me." And I was like, "I'm sorry. I'm from Texas, and we say ma'am. We use manners." Now everybody's looking at her like she's the biggest Yankee to ever come down here. And she finally looks around and sees everybody staring at her, and she's like, "That is my husband." And I was like, "Ma'am, I have never seen you." So it was just crazy times, weird stuff happened. People got into conspiracy theories. There was all these conspiracy theories online. Can you still call them conspiracy theories if they're coming true? There's a lot of them out there. There's some weird ones. There's some ones that might, the vaccine has a chip in it. What else? The election was rigged. Mark Zuckerberg is a real human. I don't want to offend anybody tonight, but honestly, when I heard the vaccine had a chip in it, I thought a couple of things. First of all, there's no way it has a chip in it, okay? If the government wanted a chip in our body, they would put it in a Chick-fil-A sandwich, okay? We've all eaten one. We're all going to eat one again, okay? Some of you could put the chip on top, okay, and you'd still probably eat it. Let's be honest, okay? You'd be like, "Get that pickle out of here," but yeah, that chip's fine, right? And second of all, again, I'm not political. I don't care. But if they honestly had the technology in the government to get a tiny little chip in a vaccine, wouldn't they have made a Biden robot by now? Huh? Wouldn't we? And I know this is not offensive. My next door neighbor is a Democrat, and I was talking to him about it. He's the one who said that. He's like, "Yeah, we could use a Biden bot by now, Probably have to change his pants less." And so there was that. There was all these other ones I hadn't heard. The earth is flat. The earth is flat. Government wants us to think the earth is round, but it's not. It's flat. And I'm like, what is that, from big globe government? Like, what is it? Are they selling globes? Like, what is, yeah, honestly, I couldn't figure it out. Why wouldn't they just tell us it's flat? Like, you know, and if you honestly think the earth is flat, well, actually, I don't even see tinfoil hats, so never mind. Anyways, have you guys heard the one about birds? Birds are not real. What are they? They're drones, and they're government spy cameras. And COVID was invented because they had to change the batteries. That's a true conspiracy theory out there. I know. First of all, if that's true, why does the government hate my car? Okay? I want to know that. And second of all, I don't think I'm going to offend you guys because I'm in Buckeye, but in Texas, no, because you guys are a lot like Texas people. Like, we hunt. We hunt. Is it okay to talk about hunting? Okay, yeah, because sometimes you can't talk about it, and I'm a big hunter. During bow season, I got a 10-point buck. Yeah, oh, it was awesome. And it did not mess my truck up like I thought it was going to. Oh, that was some good eating. I grew up hunting. I grew up hunting all the time. My dad would take, because we grew up poor. We grew up really poor. You know, like had to eat cereal with a fork to save on milk. Yeah, we everybody get it? That's gonna get it? Okay. No child left behind. Okay, so. But we did. We grew up hunting, and I can't talk about this like in Michigan or in Seattle because people get all offended, which I don't even know why I'm worried about offending vegans. You know, they're not going to attack me. I'm made out of meat. Plus, if they're going to attack me, they're never strong enough to get to the stage. But we did. We grew up hunting, and that was some of the best times with my dad. We would be duck hunting. I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but my dad would take me duck hunting. And it was beautiful, out with God's creation, sun coming up slowly. My dad and I'd be hiding under the slide by the swing set. I'd be tearing off the bread. The ducks would come waddling out. Quack, quack. Hold still. You know, right? So, you're like, ah. You know I'm kidding, right? Okay, all right. They didn't waddle like that. So, but we did. We grew up. That's one of the things. Oh, again, it's in a comedy bit, but that was one of the things because my wife did not grow up hunting, and we've been married now for almost 3 years. And that was a thing because we do everything together. Because we just really, it was a bad idea to involve her. I helped her. She helped me put my deer stand up, and I'm just saying that wind chime was a really bad idea. But the first time I took her hunting, I grew up hunting, so it just makes sense to me. I've never explained it to a non-hunter. And so she was like, I want to go out with you. And I was like, okay. She's like, tell me what to do. And I handed her this camo suit. And I was like, you got to put this on. And I wasn't prepared for this question. She just goes, why? I was like, because you don't want deer to see you. And she goes, I was not prepared. Aren't we like hunting in a deer blind? Aren't we hunting in a dark box? Wouldn't it make more sense to wear black? And I was like, no. We have to wear camo because when we walk out to the deer blind, we don't want the deer to see us. And my wife's like, so they think we're walking like trees? And then she's pretty smart, Alex. She was like, hey, how about I tear up a little and they'll think I'm a weeping willow? And she was like, you should use that in your act. And I was like, I write my own stuff. And we did, but we got out, and it was a beautiful, like, husband-wife sitting there, sun's coming up. It did have a funny little comical moment because, and you're about to find out why I never get to talk about this because people are so snowflakes and all this, but when you hunt, you don't want deer to smell you, so what do? Okay, good. I'm glad you said it. Okay. They sell bottles of deer urine, which, first of all, how do they get it? Do they put a bucket under the deer and then scare them? Boo! But you do. You spray deer urine on your boots or on your deer stand, and it keeps deer from smelling you. I have actually never said that out loud either. And now that I'm thinking about it, like, what if vegans just spread that rumor to get us to do that to ourselves? Like, what? They're doing it. Look what they're doing. Like, but I had a little bottle of that stuff on the deer stand, and my wife did not grow up hunting, and so the sun came up, and she just looked over and she goes, "Honey, hand me that bottle of breast spray." Don't go, oh. It was just a funny moment. I did the right thing. I gave her a water bottle afterwards. So how did I get on that? No, it wasn't Walmart. Oh, no. Okay. Birds are not real. They're cameras. That's what it was. Medication's working. So that's what I was going to say. I don't want to offend you guys, but then I realized I can talk about hunting here. But we hunt. Never once have I bitten into a quail and been like, ooh, coppery, right? There's no way. How can you have that conspiracy? Jeffrey Epstein, not to get all dark, but he didn't commit suicide. It was the Clintons, but the Clintons are like so powerful they can stop any. And that's why this is the greatest country in our world. Let's talk about something else. But it's so weird. Like, there was our nation, what I'm trying to say is, man, we need community more now than ever, because the quarantine was rough on us, and we need to be laughing. So I joke, I kid with Clay, but man, he is an amazing dude, and he wanted to bring laughter to this area, and he knew he couldn't do it, and I'm sorry, I cannot stop it. I really want to give you a compliment. That's the thing. My mind. I'm so glad that God made me a comedian. And I feel like everybody in this room, he has a plan and a path for you. He's given you a talent. I'm glad that I figured out. I hope this is what he made me for. Because in school, I was not good. I was a good kid. I didn't act up, but I perceived things differently. And I feel like God made my brain for now, but back then it would get me in trouble. So I'm not making excuses, but I would think things. The rules to the fire. The teacher's like, in the event of a fire, walk, don't run. And I was like, if there's a fire, I'm running. What do you want us to do? Walk down the hallway while flames lick around our body? Like, la, la, la. Ow! One teacher said, in the event of a fire, walk single file. I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's form a human wick. So when the fire to catch up, it was like. Another rule we had, because it was a small school, was last person out of the room had to shut all the windows. And again, I wasn't trying to be smart aleck, but last person out of the room had to shut all the windows. I was like, okay, let me get this straight. If there ever is a fire, we're all standing outside watching the building burn, watching one kid frantically try to shut all the windows. Like, hey, there goes Jimmy. You can do it. Oh, what a shame. He almost made it to that last window. So God's made us all different. So I'm telling you, God created you guys special with a plan and a path and a talent. And the outside world is going to get rough. And you have a foundation to stand back up when the world tries to knock you down, because God created you for something. And when you figure out what that is, then he wants you to use those talents to bring people closer to him. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, it gets me in trouble sometimes. My last show before the quarantine, and I didn't know it was my last show, but I was in, and it wasn't even in the country. It was because I am a Christian, so I go and do third world stuff. So I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, and before I tell the story, I should ask this: anybody from Arkansas? Nobody? Okay. All right. I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I've flown in and out of that airport a ton. I did not know that they had changed the name to the Bill and Hillary Clinton International Airport. That's the name of it. Man, I can't figure out if it's okay to talk about politics here. Because I just said that and everybody got quiet. This is not a political story, okay? This is not. I'm not going to make fun of the Clintons. This is not about them. No, I'm not going to make fun of the Clintons. No. I am the last person that wants to wake up with a mysterious, self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is a story just about the Bill and Hillary Clinton airport, okay? It has nothing to do with the Clinton. And it's a good airport. It is. It's professionally run. It's all paid staff. It is. There are absolutely no interns. And, what? I'm saying it's a good airport. I just didn't know they changed the name because evidently it took forever because they put it up to a vote and the Russians got involved. And, but an example of how sometimes it gets my brain in trouble, I walked in, it was like 6 a.m. I didn't realize my whole life was about to change because last year was pretty rough. Like God was with us, took care of us, my wife and I and the kids and stuff, but it was rough. I had no idea all that was coming, but again, God did. And so I walked in that morning not realizing it was my last flight, and the guy was so excited about the name change. And I just can't control my mind, especially early in the morning. And I walked in and he goes, "Welcome to the Bill and Hillary Clinton International Airport. May I see your boarding pass?" And I couldn't help it. I was like, "Oh, man." They emailed it to me, but it got deleted. And I'm glad you guys really appreciate that story. Because all I remember after I said that was, wow. His hands are cold. And in 2 weeks, I'm flying out of Trump's airport, and I'm really nervous about getting over that wall. No, as I was telling that story, I was like, I need to have something for both sides. Because, again, I want everybody to have a good time, and I really don't care. But I was like, okay, what's another president? So, I don't know. This is how my brain works. So I'm trying to have something for everybody. That would be funny, though, if we had a president, like, airport. I know we have airports named after, but if it was indicative of the president, like George W. Bush Airport, no matter what plane you get on, it goes to Texas. What's another one? Obama Airport. You buy a ticket, but somebody else gets to take your seat. Okay, all right. I'm reading your crowd. Okay. No more. Anyway, I just saw another one. I'm not going to do it because they groaned. I'm not going to do it. Okay. Clay, they said... anyway, this is what pops in my brain. This is so dumb. It's going to get me in trouble. In 2 months, I'm flying out of Joe Biden's airport. The way it works, you buy your ticket, and then you mail it in, and they write somebody else's name on it. So, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good. Anyway... But it's so good to be back on stage and to have the opportunity and that you guys come out and support us and But there was a lot of good positive times. All joking aside, I never was one of those comics that traveled a lot. I was home all week and then I go out and do like Friday, Saturday. But then I was just home all the time. I was home, and so I really got to hang out with my kids, and I just love being a dad. Always have. Actually, when I first got married, years and years ago, I have such a great dad. And I wanted to be a dad. And it's maybe personal, but when I first got married, I was actually told that I couldn't have children. By my mother-in-law. She thought she was in charge because we were living with her. And first two we had in the hospital. Because we talked about me coming back and preaching sometime. Remind me to tell the story. I know this is so unprofessional, but remind me to tell the story of my firstborn because it's a funny story, but it has a really cool gospel message. But so first 2 in the hospital. Third one, we did something a little different. I'd read an article in the Woodlands paper. It was better to have the baby underwater. I'd never heard of that before. You guys have heard of that? Yeah. We did that on our 3rd kid, and don't do that. Oh, turns out not everyone at that YMCA that lifeguard had not read that article, and doctor couldn't concentrate. He was like, push, what? Well, swim around. So, but he was born healthy. Named him Xander. That's what I named him. I kind of want to name him Bob after me, plus, come on, the way he was born. And so we did. So we had 3 kids, and then she left. She just left. It really did just happen that way. She left, and man, it was cool though because my church came in and loved on me and the kids. Yeah, it was because first of all, it came out of the blue. We were hanging out with this rich couple, and we just didn't see it coming. And then she and this guy left, and I had to, man, I was like teaching all my kids stuff. Not having help is tough. I mean, if we have single parents here, man, hats off to you. And I hope you're invested in this church, because it's tough. I had to teach my kids all this, how to do dishes and laundry, and that's a bad example. We can do it all at once. We have a huge pool, and but it was, and I was in a really broken state. I had a great Christian upbringing. My parents were amazing people. My grandparents, my great-grandparents. I came from this long line of just loving Christian people. And then I'd never had anything really bad happen, and then this really rocked my world. And honestly, I kind of got to the point where I thought maybe God couldn't use me, that he was done with me. And again, man, I hope nobody's gone through that, because that is a lie from Satan. And thankfully, I'll test real quick, but this is kind of weird. This is how God got a hold of me again. I never walked away from him, but I just thought he couldn't use me anymore. And this is so weird, but I hadn't done shows since it all happened and everything, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and there's a prison right north of my house called Huntsville State Prison, and the guy to this day still doesn't know how he got my cell phone number. He just got my number, called me, and he's like, hey, we heard you're going through some stuff. Will you come talk to our prisoners? Maybe make them laugh a little bit, but we heard you're trying to be positive. Just give them some hope. I'd never been to a prison before. Anybody here been in prison? Not, sorry, no, that's not. This is Buckeye, who hadn't been in prison. No, that's terrible. No, but I don't mean in prison. I mean, have you gone to visit? It's scary, isn't it? I didn't. Whenever you go, you can bring your ID and 1 key. That's all you can bring on. It's supposed to be your car key, but I took my sharpest key, and I did. And I took my oldest son Coulter because I thought it'd be good for him to see. Plus, I thought, if there's a riot, I can outrun him. So I have 2 more. So I was in a really dark time in my life. And the only reason, I'm not trying to bring the show down, but God took care of me and my boys. He really did. And I'm standing in this prison, and it was actually a gymnasium where they had me. And they brought the prisoners in one by one. And I'm nervous, I'm heartbroken, and I'm just in a dark place. And the first prisoner that comes in looks probably how some of you are thinking he looked in your mind. Short little stocky dude, like kind of cut, tattoos all over his face and his neck. And he's walking toward me, and I'm looking at all the tattoos, and I'm thinking, I miss my grandma. And but they had some of the same tattoos. And I'm in such a weird place. And I don't even know if I can be. And he walks right up to me, and he goes, hey, man, thanks for coming. And I was like, dude, you don't even know if I'm funny or not. And I'll never forget what he said. He goes, man, we don't care if you're funny. Nobody comes to see us. So the fact that you and your boy came here today, actually, man, that just gives us a little bit of hope. And sometimes, you know what? A little bit of hope is all you need. Man, I needed to hear that. And then he got kind of emotional. He's like, you know what? I'd love to give you a hug if you'll put that key down. And and it was great, guys. And I got up, and I really honestly feel like God orchestrated that to bring me back into my own presence of like God saying, no, I can still use you. And I can probably use you better than before, than just a happy-go-lucky, Christian. My friend Tim Hawkins says this, but you hear some of these just jacked up, horrible testimonies that are, and how God came in and did amazing, and you're sitting there with your boring testimony, and, this is not my line, but Tim's always like, I'm sitting in the back going, man, I wish I was addicted to crack, But before that, it was my testimony, but it was a pretty vanilla testimony, I was very fortunate to be born in a loving Christian home, and I really feel like God could use me a little bit. And I did. I started making them laugh, and they made me laugh too. I used to do this bit because I am a dad of 5 boys, and so one of the jobs is I'm the protector of the family. So I'm the protector. First of all, I have the wrong body, okay? I'm the only guy in this church that can use chapstick as deodorant. And this is my real voice. Anybody here scared? If you were a burglar breaking in downstairs and I was at the top of the stairs, would this scare you out of my house? You better not be down there. What is that? I'm the only guy that can stand at the top of the stairs and go, you better get out or I'll call my husband. Like, what? Well, as you probably figured out by now, I don't plan out my show. I just get up and I just start talking, and I hope that God, I hope that God heals whoever has those glasses. But I don't think out my show. I just get up and start talking. And so I did that with the prison show. And so I said to a room full of prisoners, I did the bit I just did for you guys. I said to a room full of prisoners, pretend you're a burglar breaking in downstairs. One of them shouted out, don't have to pretend. But it was great. I went there to help them. They helped me. And a lot of times that's what doing ministry is all about, And it was, they made me laugh too. One guy came up after the show and he was like, man, that was great. I was like, thanks. And he goes, yeah, I live by you. And I was like, yeah, what? And he goes, yeah, I was watching you move around on stage. And I was like, oh, I know that dude. He runs on Maplewood. And I do run on Maplewood. And I was like, yeah, I'm that dude that runs on Maplewood with that big can of mace. And but he was just a guy who made a mistake, doing his time, found Jesus, ready to get out and start living for him. And, and I did kind of mess it up because I shared Jesus and I shared about, what I was going through. But as I was sharing that part, I remembered that the guy that my wife left me and the boys for actually lives in Willis, which is right by Huntsville State Prison. So I shouldn't have done this. But I was like, by the way, if any of you are getting out soon... love to share that address with you. And but it was great, man. They lined up, they hugged me, prayed with us. It was good for my son. One guy did lean in. He's like, seriously? All I need is that dude's name. Yeah, I know. So I gave it to him. But it is tough, man. It is tough being a Christian sometimes. And I think this last year, we had hopefully new opportunities. It is so tough to be a Christian. Like I was in Hooters last week. And no, I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I said that. No, I wasn't. I just, golly. I got to get that filter back. No, I'm just saying there's little moments where you have a moment to be a good Christian or be, a good. And I was in Conway, Arkansas, and I went to get a rental car. I always use Enterprise because I think it's hilarious to hand the paperwork back to the Enterprise guy and say, live long and prosper. Nobody else thinks it's funny at all. Yeah. 21 years I've been doing that joke. Not on stage. This is the first time I told it on stage, but at the Enterprise, and nobody's laughed. But I got there, filled out the paperwork, did that, it bombed, and it was just me and this elderly couple. And they were a sweet elderly couple. And you need to know this up front. I love elderly people. I honestly think they're the coolest people in the world. I always have, even when I was a little kid. They have the best stories. They've been through a lot of stuff. They know how to love. Elderly people are the best. I always tell kids, hang out with your grandparents. Some kids are like, I don't want to talk to my grandparents. Their mind is going. I'm always like, dude, that's the best time to talk to them. It's like channel surfing. You never know. You never know what's going to pop up. And they were this sweet elderly couple, and they were like holding hands, and they would kiss every once in a while, and so we both filled out the paperwork, and we were the only ones there. And so the guy's like, okay, follow me around, I'll take you out to the lot. And we went out there, and he turned to me and this elderly couple, and he was like, all right, I got a Ford Focus or a Dodge Challenger. Okay, there's my car, people. For the rest of you, he basically said, I got a little tricycle or I got a Batmobile. And I was like, and so I spoke up. I was like, oh, I'll take the Dodge Challenger. And I started to walk toward it. And the sweet elderly lady said, oh, I've never been in a Dodge Challenger before. And I slowed my gait. And then the sweet old man just goes, that would have been a good adventure for our 50th wedding anniversary. Yeah. And it started to break my heart, but also I'm a Christian, so I know all about guilt, okay? So I turned around, I was like, are you guys, are you doing this out of guilt? And he's like, we're not Catholic. And he said that, I did not make this up. But I was looking at them, and they wanted this Dodge Challenger. It really was their 50th anniversary, and there's that moment where I'm like, I want a Dodge Challenger. I had a 4-hour drive. And you have that, but I'm, glad I can honestly stand in front of you and say, that Dodge Challenger corners like it's on rails. It is no, I did the right thing. I gave him the Challenger, and I was even in my Ford Focus. I was in this it was baby poop green. I don't even know how to describe it. That's the color. Baby poop green. I'm driving. And my mom used to tell me that green brings my eyes out, like that's important. So I was like trying to be positive. Yeah, she would do that. She used to make my clothes because we were poor. And so she would always be like, green brings your eyes out. Well, my ears were this big when I was born. You don't take a kid with big ears and put him in a green outfit. And I've got red hair. I look like a leprechaun, okay? Kids would come up to me at recess and go, hey, Bob, you look magically delicious. But I'm driving a little baby poop green car, and I'm trying to be positive. I'm like, I did the right thing. They're going to have a great... And they actually passed me on the road, and they just had the biggest smiles. And I knew it was them because they had their blinkers still on. And but we get those opportunities. Oh, okay, yeah. I promise I'm almost done because I know I'm over time. But... opportunities is another thing that my wife and I decided to focus on during the quarantine because now everything kind of seems like the volume went down on a lot of stuff. And so my wife and I was like, what do we want to do? And we've always been big on reading the Bible. She grew up, she knows the Bible really well. I started reading the Bible when I was young. Hear this. My grandmother pulled me aside when I was little. How old are you in the Darth Vader shirt? 8, 9. Okay. I feel like you're making that up. 8, 9, 1. Who's asking? Because I was 8 whenever my grandmother told me this. She pulled me aside. She said, start reading the Bible now. It has all of life's answers. Amen. Read it now. And I was like, okay. And she was like, I'm sorry, but it makes me mad. The young kids never read the Bible, and, elderly people are reading it like crazy because it's like they're trying to cram for a final. And, and so my wife and I were reading the Bible one day, this last summer, and we got to it. I'm going to read it on my phone because I left my Bible actually in the hotel. I was going to borrow Clay's, but it looks like it hadn't been opened. So sorry. I don't know why I keep doing that. I read this. My wife and I read this, and we were looking for we were like, wait, okay, now that all this craziness has happened, what do you have new for us, God? What do you have? And then we read this. It's Psalms 82. How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the wicked? Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. I don't know why we stopped reading there, because we were just reading through. And my wife's like, read 3 and 4 again. And I said, defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. I've been doing this for 22 years. We sponsor kids through Compassion International. I've done stuff with World Vision. So we knew all about child sponsorship and stuff. But we were like, what else is maybe going on that maybe God wants us to be able to hear now that the volume's down? And I'm going to try to be real sensitive about this, but it is everywhere. I'd heard about trafficking. Did not realize how Satan was using it to make people feel like God has given up on them. It is, and it is spreading everywhere. And we just started looking up, because we were hearing about it in the news here and there, and we started looking up about trafficking and about these rings and all this kind of stuff, and it blew our minds. And so I started is anybody doing anything? And I found this organization called Destiny Rescue. And they go and they have all these different ways that they rescue these kids. And my very first question was, how does this even happen? How do they get the kids? And the saddest one is that these families, or sometimes these moms, they have the baby and they can't afford to feed the baby, and so they just give them away. Just give them away. And these evil people are right there to take them. Or even worse, and this only happens in third world countries, but they'll have the baby because they can sell them. They can sell them to these people. I mean, this child didn't even stand a chance. They're just gone. Their future is destroyed. Or they're kidnapped, or they're lured through online stuff. A big one is they'll come over, they'll meet some 16-year-old girl and promise them a vacation. If they can get them across a border, they're never heard from again. They just got to get them across this border. And it's happening all the time. And so I was talking to Destiny Rescue. I was like, so what do you guys do? And so they have these trained officers. They're not really officers, but they're trained people, and the Border Patrols love them. And so they come dressed as Border Patrol, and they're trained to be able to see these situations happening and be able to stop and rescue these girls or these guys from crossing the border. And if they can do that, then they have a much better chance of being saved. They set up, cyber rings and stuff like that. They go to, again, I'm being really careful, they'll go to restaurants where this stuff is happening, and they'll talk to the girls that are waitressing there, and they set up a plan to be able to come in. And then local law enforcement loves the help of Destiny Rescue, because then they can do raids and shut down the whole thing. And they've been doing this for several years. And so as I was talking to them, I was like, how do I get on board? And so the way it works, and I know we just came here to have a good time tonight, but man, who knows what God has for us? We didn't know. I didn't know all this was going on in the world. So I do have a merch table, and they just want partnerships. And it's not you're not sponsoring a kid. They do have packets. I think Clay brought one up here. They do have packets, but this is a child that's already been rescued. Okay, so you're not sponsoring a child, because we're just trying to stop it from happening all over. But this is a child that has already been rescued. This one was rescued at the border. So it has their story. That's why their faces are blocked out, because we can't, And they have safe houses if they can't return the kid to the parents. They have safe houses, and then they work with foster care to get them a future, to just get them a future. And so they have kind of the story of this one. But they're just looking for people that want to partner with them, and it's whatever you want to partner with them, And it's a monthly, contribution. We have these cards, and if you guys are interested in it, you just fill out this card and just leave it at our table, and then you take this packet home, and they'll send you stuff and get you started doing it. My wife and I do it, and it's any amount. I had one lady did $200 a month. The best one was in Conway, Arkansas. 2 weeks ago, this kid mows lawns during the summer, and he came up and he was like, he had a cousin that had gotten involved with it, and he was like, I want to do this. And I was like, okay. And he's doing now $5 a month. $5 a month. And I've never seen the widow's mite story so clearly in that. But anyway, those are out there. I know it's a comedy show, but man, we gotta start getting in the game, because Satan loves when we're silent, And so so I'll close with that. Read the Bible. I will tell parents, find out what your kids are reading before you do certain activities. I took my oldest son on a camping hiking trip, not realizing that my son had just gotten to the part where Abraham had taken his son. Isaac. If you don't know that story, you're not cramming for your final. God told Abraham to take his son up to the top of a mountain and sacrifice him. He stopped him, but it was just, my son was just getting to the first part of the story, sitting by a campfire. I got out of the tent, and I was like, good morning, Coulter. You want to go on a hike? And he was like, what? No. I want to go home. And I was like, what's up with you? And he showed me, and I was like, that's hilarious. Now grab that firewood and that knife, and let's go. So... we've got to be in the Word. We've got to be in, and I did, so I have those packets, Destiny Rescue, over there, and I'll be over there if you have any questions. But because I'm on board with what they're doing, not only are we a monthly sponsorship, but I'll give you guys, because I do have a merch table, and I'm not saying that so you feel like you need to support my 5 children. Just WWJD. No, I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm just saying, if you're a Christian. But I do have some fun stuff, and it is Christmas coming up. So if you're going to buy something, some of the things I'm really proud of is I do have 3 DVDs over there. If you're Amish, do people still buy DVDs? It's Buckeye. Okay, so I've got just kidding. I've got some cassette tapes and no. But I have 3 DVDs over there, and they're all really good comedy specials and stuff. And one of them is I have 4 other Christian comedian friends on there. The reason why I'm talking about my DVDs, if you sign up and partner with Destiny Rescue, and then you give the envelope over there, you can pick out a free DVD as just me saying, hey, thanks for partnering with us. And then I have something for kids, because I write for Focus on the Family, and I write this character called Average Boy, and it's just these funny stories. And they let me write 2 comedy devotion books for middle school kids. I wrote it for ages like 7 to 13. And I love that kids are laughing at these funny stories, but then it has a solution to a problem Average Boy had, and then devotion questions at the end of each chapter. And so I love, because my grandmother got me to read the Bible when I was young, and I feel like this is a way that I can get kids to read. So those are available. And then I've got a shirt. I've got 2 of them over there. One's for, I have friends that have ADD. I don't know if you know people like that. Do you? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? They'll just start telling a story, and then they'll stop. Let's talk about this. So I have a shirt that says I'm not as random as you think I'd squirrel over there. And then, but my favorite one, and again, I promise I'm closing, but man, we got to know what Jesus said. My grandmother said this. How can we live out what Jesus said if we don't know what he actually said? And he gets misquoted all the time. And I thought of this shirt over there because my next door neighbor, he came up to me one time and he's like, yeah, you know what? It's like Jesus said, with great power comes great responsibility. I didn't even let him off the hook. I was like, is that in first or second Spider-Man? So I have a shirt over there that just says, it's got a drawing of Jesus. And it just said, I never said that. Because he gets misquoted all the time. And it's a great conversation starter because people are like, well, what did he say? Well, what did he say? He talked a lot about love. He talked a lot about loving on people. A lot about taking care of kids that are in harm's way. He talked about praying for people and lifting each other up. Having a great church that just wants to do stuff for the community, you know? So get in the Word. That's the last thing I'll say. And I wish the Bible was longer. So kids, it's not that boring. It's not. I read about Doubting Thomas today. He doubted once, and everybody calls him Doubting Thomas. I'm like, that's interesting, right? On a date once, I laughed, and a snot bubble came out. I don't want to be known as Snot Bubble Bob the rest of my life. So read it. I wish, okay, really quick. I wish Joseph, Jesus' dad, would have written a chapter because we don't know a lot about Jesus as a kid, you know? Did his dad ever be like, hey, I need you to water the plants? And Jesus was like, oh, it is finished. And his dad knew who he was. Did he ever try to cash in? Like, hey, son, will you put your finger in that water for a second? Catholic. And we know he was sinless, but he was Jesus. And he was a little mischievous. Like, there's some funny stuff that Jesus did. He was sinless, but his dad ever have to be like, look, son, stop spitting in everyone's eyes. Okay? He probably walked into the kitchen one time, Joseph, and was like, leave the chicken alone. That is our dinner. It needs to stay dead. Like. Joseph could have written about, like, I don't know how he stayed humble. He was Jesus' earthly dad. I would have found other dads and been like, hey, is that your son playing in the dirt? He looks cool. I'd introduce you to my son, but he's way over there. Walking on the lake. Right? I would have put a bumper sticker on the back of my donkey. My son saved your honor student. So I'll close with that. I'm going to bring Clay back up. But listen, man, Joseph should have bragged on Jesus. Isn't that our job? And the best way to do it, the best way to brag on Jesus is to go out and love on people. So, man, thank you guys so much for having me. I hope you had a great time.
All right. Isn't that awesome? He wasn't joking. He's going to come back and preach for us. We're just going to work out a date for that. Won't that be awesome? Yeah. Praise the Lord. Hey, I just want to personally thank all of you for coming out, but I want to personally thank Brian, Mike, and Bob for coming out and blessing us this evening. Please stop by their merchandise table. Brian's got some stuff there. Bob's got some stuff. And Bob didn't talk a lot about it, but he does a lot of work with Focus on the Family and helping children and stuff. And he's got a couple great books there for kids and his CDs. Just awesome, awesome stuff. So make sure you tell them how much you appreciate them and take a look at their stuff. And I'm going to ask that you would join me as we close in prayer. Would you pray with me tonight? Father in heaven, we just want to thank you for this time to get together and just to share a laugh or two and just to be in fellowship with those of like precious faith. And Father, we just thank you for what you're doing around the world. And Lord, we just ask, God, that you would use us. Help us to recognize that gift and calling, those talents that you've given us. Lord, as Bob reminded us tonight, we all have a job to do. Would you help us to know what that is? And Father, I want to pray that if there's anyone here tonight who may not know you as Lord and Savior, I pray, God, that your Holy Spirit would touch their hearts tonight, that they would see that you are the reason for joy. You bring happiness. You bring fulfillment. And you are the great I am. Lord, we pray these things in Jesus' name, and together we'd say, amen. Now, before you get up to go visit with the fellows, if you'd like to know more about this amazing Jesus we've been talking about tonight, I'm going to hang out up front. While they tell you funny stories and tell you stuff, I'd like to talk to you about Jesus if you'd like to know more about this amazing God that we serve. Amen? Amen. God bless you guys. You may be dismissed. Don't forget, church starts at 10 tomorrow. It's our 19th anniversary. After a great service, we're going to have a baptismal service. We got a taco truck coming out where we're going to have a great parking lot picnic. We invite you all. God bless you. You may be dismissed.